Previously on the marketing mixtape.
You want to know why? Because
So
no one advertises on it. So
I guess it comes back to what we talked about last time, understanding your audience as well.
yeah, of course.
Obviously, there's going to be audiences this is going to make more sense for, other audiences this make less sense. This is key for marketers to be able to get some really valuable insights on their audience, on their market. You know, what do they value? What are they more interested in? For example, if we're looking at ad copy, we can test emotional language versus logical. And again, I think we need to test beliefs that we hold dearly to. Like, nothing is set in stone. I think we need to test everything. Like, anything we think we know about our target market, let's test it. Now, if we think our target, our ideal audience is logical, analytical, and we want to use that type of language, well, let's test emotional language and see how that impacts. Again, landing pages, you know, maybe we're going for a modern, simplistic, streamlined kind of a feel, but let's compare that with a more complex, a more informational dense landing page. What other ideas do you have about, you know, maybe some kind of more out of the box split testing ideas?
I mean, it's really how wide and detailed you want to go. So some wilder, like more outlandish split tests that you can do. Again, I'm going to become like, this is going to be very outlandish. So some things can be just like excuse me, switch out completely the format that you show the content. So start to challenge how you perceive your audience is triggering their action that for you is part or a substantial part of your funnel. What does this mean? So if you're used to, for example, you know, using videos, right? Your video ads, you've got YouTube ads set up and it's, you know, working for you, or on Facebook and you're running Facebook ads and they're all videos, you think it's great. A simple split test can be use exactly the same copy, exactly the same narrative, exactly the same landing page, and show a graphic, show a photo, show an infographic, show a static image with the copy and the image. Because you don't know, like, the more you stay in your comfort zone, the more you get used to the furniture around you. And you have to move pieces around to see things from different perspectives. So for example, I'm, as you guys know, here at Yugo, like when I started the business, it was like YouTube ads, like we're YouTube ads. I obviously knew a thing or two about Google and YouTube, Facebook, but it was just YouTube was where our expertise was. And recently, like 6 months ago, we did a test in one of our clients' accounts, and we saw more conversions in a retargeting from display and from an image than we did from a video, and at 2.5 times the cost. So you can go really outlandish, like you can like disrupt things a lot if you want to with split testing. And the second thing I'll say is, often we think that we know who our ideal audience is. And again, this comes back to what we said at the beginning, like the more you understand who your ICP is and the more you want to learn about them, I think that's where split testing becomes very exciting and interesting. But for example, your age demographic. So you think that your ideal customer is 25 to 35. And then you find out that your average customer is like someone who's retired in their 60s. So how do you like develop that landscape? So, well, that's going to start by split testing the age. Start excluding everyone other than 60 to 70 or 50 to 70 or 50 to 65 and see how that performs. And unless you make those radical changes, you're never going to be able to conclude certain critical strategic elements to your campaigns. And
I think it's key.
You have to arrive. Sorry, I was going to say to finish that. You have to arrive at conclusions not based off gut, but off like tests and experience in the campaigns and the accounts. Because honestly, I wake up sometimes and you're like, I want to change this, I want to change that, and then you kind of settle down. You're like, wait, what's that going to affect? What conclusions am I going to make from it? And that's why I think there is two sides to this. One, get out of your comfort zone, move the furniture around. But on the flip side, don't test something that's not broken. If you can see an optimization opportunity based on data, and what is data? And average industry insights, send me an email and say, hey Jay, what's the average on-page conversion rate? I'll tell you off the bat. What's the average click-through rate from a YouTube ad for cold traffic? I'll tell you. That's not a problem. All
Yeah,
that data is published. So if you don't see glaring numbers that are below those industry averages, I don't see the big need to go in and disrupt it. So you have to have this happy medium between getting out of your comfort zone, rearranging and knocking a few things over, but at the same time, don't disrupt or break something that's not broken.
Sure. So but I guess what we're saying is, don't touch it if it's not broken. We're not saying that. We're saying don't change it if it's not broken, but do test it, because it may not be broken, but then maybe we can maybe take it to the next level. And I would say from all the split testing I've seen, I've never actually seen a negative impact. I have seen a lot of no change, no impact. So you go in with a hypothesis, you run the test, and there's no impact. But and again, that's giving us information as well. It's telling you that whatever you thought was impacting the buyer journey or the conversion rate wasn't having the impact you thought it was. So there's definitely learnings to be had from that. And I think understanding how results and feedback from this these tests can impact business decisions is key for communicating the value of them as well to leadership if we're working in a team, as part of a team, because split testing is super resource intensive. We need content producers. If we're talking about creatives, we may need animators, UI designers, and so resources together obviously involves the cost.
Yeah, I mean, you have to balance out everything, right? You can't expect to make split tests without spending or investing or spending something, right? You're going to have some costs, and there's going to be costs to take split test. But that's why I said at the beginning, you're going to get. Sorry?
No, Siri just popped up. I didn't edit that anyway, but Siri just popped up on my computer and it just started chatting shit. Who's
Sirius?
Siri.
Oh, Siri. Sorry.
Yeah.
So what I was going to say is cost is obviously key. But so I said at the beginning, where you're going to get the most bang for your buck is where the split test, you have the most fluctuation, the most traffic, the most volume. That's where you want to start fishing. You don't want to start fishing where you've got the least amount of traffic, the least amount of ad spend, the least amount of fluctuation. You don't want to spend your time there. You want to go in and tackle things where there is an opportunity that by changing something 1 or 2%, it can in a year save you 5,000, 10,000, 50,000, or even more, or put more revenue opportunity into your funnel.
Exactly. I think that's key. Understanding that it could either bring savings, which you can then redirect back into the ad spend budget, or it can improve our return on ad spend, return on investment for sure. Yeah. And I think another one, if our listeners have kind of tried everything that you already mentioned, they're already testing everything. I think ad sequencing is another key one, which I haven't seen a lot of people doing. So testing different messages, the order they're shown, how we tell a story with the order of those ads, I think could be super interesting to test as well, how they impact the funnel and the buyer journey.
Well, that's why I kind of skip segmentation and sequencing, because it's like a whole conversation on its own. I think we can do another series on that. But you want to make sure you segment the buyer journey in regards to retargeting and the order they see your ads. If it's in the one ad group or multiple ad groups or multiple campaigns. But you want to test that as well, because sometimes you think this is the middle of the funnel activity and it's actually bottom of the funnel. So you can, as I said, you can get very outlander. You can go quite wide and wild if you want with split testing. I think it's smart to stay conservative, focus on what metrics validate the changes or the potential of optimization opportunity, and know the difference between click rate optimization and split testing, because they're two different fields. Conversion rate optimization is when we're focused on a volume first game, and split tests is when or you can suspect opportunity or excess so you can optimize. And I think there are two different games. And when it comes to landing pages, you can do split tests with actually a very minimum amount of traffic and see a very positive upside. When we're talking about CRO, we're talking about looking at a high volume of traffic and finding optimization opportunities based on the volume of traffic. And I think they're very closely linked, but split testing is more about being that detective, like that, what's the detective called?
Sherlock Holmes.
Being the Sherlock Holmes in your campaigns, hunting out underperforming shares and optimizing
Yeah, and I guess split testing is specifically comparing two versions of one variable, where optimization could be making changes without necessarily comparing to a base.
Totally.
Yeah.
I think optimization is, again, split testing, CRO, and scaling all rolled into one, right? I mean, I don't think there's like, you can't do one without the other. I mean, that's why I was saying they're all kind of tightly linked, but they're different exercises. But I think where, if you want to get into split testing, to kind of wrap up, I think it all starts by becoming very acute to activity where you know there is opportunity. So this isn't about what you're fishing, it's about where. So you need to know in your campaigns where you need to be looking so you can find elements that have native opportunity to split test. So you can start split testing without disruption. And my recommendation is to start at the bottom and go up in regards to your campaign structure.
Sure. And I guess what we're saying is, for anyone that is using paid media, split testing is not an extra. Split testing is essential. You've got to be doing it. You could be leaving marketing dollars on the table. And then this, adoption of a culture of continuous and incremental optimization is building on everything we learn. It's continue to build on that. And I know, we're both fans of the 1% compound improvement philosophy. Yeah. So, it comes back to that as well. That compounded can make a massive difference on our campaigns.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, we see an account like spending $100,000 a month, 2.5%, 2.5% is, $25,000, $30,000 a year. That reinvests into the campaigns is a whole extra month of advertising budget the following year. That in 3 years is half the year in advertising budget. And that in 4 years is a whole year of advertising budget. And where did it start? Optimizing 2.5% every month. So don't underestimate what you can do with split testing, but make sure you have a structured approach, you're disciplined and organized, and you don't just follow your emotions, but follow and find opportunities where you can have very clear split tests so you can make informed decisions about your campaigns to obviously optimize and create more ROI, but also to learn about the behavior behind your ads and behind your audience.
So have your hypotheses, but test them and back them up with data and results.
Yep.
That brings us to an end of another episode. I know we start talking about this and we go on forever because it's something that we're so passionate about. But this is it for this time. We'll see you in the next episode. See you, Jason.
Thanks, Bruce.